Yes, especially those who were at the party late last night. How about that? That is, you get an award for that one, I'll tell you that. Quick reminder, we have 2 sessions today, and we're going to have 2 different panels, and then we're going to have the autograph sessions in the Manhattan room. 12:30 will be the green group, and 1:30 will be the blue group. And tonight, the dinner assignments will be in the app. Make sure you have that to look at, and the theme will be Viva Las Vegas. So ladies, tonight is your big outfit, the one you've been holding back for Vegas night. So everybody, guys, get ready for that. It should be a lot of fun. So what we're going to do, our first panel discussion is going to be being a Raider. And I'll invite all of our panelists up, and they'll be able to throw the football. So we'll get ready for that. Let's welcome first Grant Irons to our panel.
Don't turn the net down.
I'm ready.
See what you got.
Are you ready?
Lefty. The snake, the lefty. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Lincoln Kennedy is here today.
You're not going to get my bad show trying to throw a football.
You can go sit right down, my friend. We're good with that. He's back. One of our veterans, the great Jerry Robinson, is here. Jerry! Hey, Kenny and Reggie, did you always want these type of applause?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he told us that yesterday.
Fair enough.
Remember, you did it underhand last night. Slam dunk. Dunk it, Jared.
And the great Lamarr Houston is here with us this morning. How about that? He hit one of the Jersey boys. He hit one of the Jersey boys back there.
Hey, you might have to stay out of the gym, bro.
Run.
Knock him out. Hey, Lamarr. Hey, Lamarr. Stay out of the gym for a couple days.
All right, gentlemen, our first question is going to be coming to the Raiders. We heard the gentlemen in our first panel, some of the veterans who have been here, and they had great stories. Lincoln, I'm going to start with you. You have a very unique story coming out of college. Lincoln Kennedy in the College Football Hall of Fame, everybody. And the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame. How about that? Lincoln, you needed to end up getting to the Raiders, and if you could tell us how the draft pick went to Atlanta and how you got the call and came to the Raiders with Mr. Davis.
Funny story, in 1993, I was playing in the East-West Shrine game, and we were practicing at Stanford. After one practice, I came up the hill and I saw Al Davis standing over off the side in one of his white jumpsuits. And I said, oh my God, that's Al Davis. go up and introduce myself. Ran up to Mr. Davis and said, "Hey, Mr. Davis, my name is Lincoln Kennedy. I'm at the University of Washington. I'm very impressed with your career, what you've been able to do." And you know, he said in his way as he's sucking his teeth, and we know who you are, Lincoln. You know, you're probably not going to be around when we have our draft choice, but I promise you, one day you're going to be a Raider. So I walked off, and my chest is sticking out. I'm a proud man right now. Man. Al Davis knows who I am. I'm going to be a Raider. Don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, I'm going to be a Raider. So fast forward, not having the best time down in Atlanta, they had a conducive. They ran an offense that was never my strength, and I struggled in Atlanta. So at the end of 3 years, I was a restricted free agent. This is when we first came out with the collective bargaining agreement, new CBA for the NFL in 1993, and it allowed guys to be free agents and be able to jump around and go to teams they chose. So Ken Hirock, who had an affiliation, was the team president of the Falcons at the time, one of the reasons who drafted me. I went up to him and I said, "Hey, Ken, you either cut me or trade me. I will never play again in a Falcon uniform." And he was like, "Well, Lincoln, we can't just cut you. You're a first-round draft choice." So I said, "Okay, we got to figure something out." He came back to me with a couple of teams. The Raiders were one of them. And the first question I asked about the Raiders, are they going back to Oakland yet, or are they still in LA? Because I hung out with a bunch of those LA guys in Los Angeles. So I was like, I said, "Are they coming back?" And they were like, "No, they're coming back to Oakland." So I went back, the trade went through. The first mini camp I had was at El Segundo, JT. So the first time I saw that facility, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is a mess. How could a professional team be a part of that?" But it is what it is, right? It's all it is. So I saw Al Davis standing off to the side, about ready to watch minicamp practice. I ran up to him and said, "Hey, Mr. Davis, good to see you again." He said, "Lincoln, I told you one day you're going to be a Raider." There you have it.
Great story. Door opened up for you and you walked through it.
The rest is history.
Grant, your story's great. Your dad played for the Raiders in some of the greatest games in Raiders history. What was it like as a little boy watching your dad and then eventually ended up as a Raider?
JT the Brick, I mean, it was amazing, right? Growing up, being a Raider, have my parents are high school sweethearts, married 50 years. And you gotta understand, have any of y'all ever seen the movie Rocky, Apollo Creed? Remember that character?
Yeah.
So my dad and Carl Weathers, they were best friends and roommates, right? And then, have anybody ever seen Police Academy?
Yeah.
Remember Hightower?
Yeah.
Bubba Smith?
Yeah.
He was also my dad's roommate and teammate at the Raiders. And just think about growing up, having a babysitter or being babysat by Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, Bubba Smith, Hightower, and Jack Tatum. I made sure I was on the straight and narrow growing up. So it was amazing growing up, just hearing the stories. One thing that I would always hear about my father and my mother talk about the Raider Nation, the love of Raider Nation, and to hear the stories and to have this experience with all of our teammates, alumni that are here, to have up close and personal, have dinners, have these events, and to hear y'all stories. It means the world to us as players that the love of the Raiders is not for one day, one season. This is for life, right? And so for us, we as players, we appreciate you all and thank you for the love, the dedication, year after year, win or lose, you're always there. So salute to you all, Raider Nation.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Very nice. Lamarr, you had a standout career at the University of Texas as a Longhorn. How'd the path come to you to end up with the Silver and Black?
Well, my year they had 2 early draft picks. They had a first-round pick and a second-round pick. So, when I got drafted, I came with a little chip on my shoulder. Had to play with Rolando McClain, who I just lost to in the national championship. So it was a little rough go at first, but they picked me up early, and Al Davis told me I was going to come in and to wreak havoc, and that's exactly what I did. So that was my path to beautiful.
Al Davis said you to come in to wreak havoc.
Oh yeah, he sat me down, and that's one thing that impressed me about Mr. Davis is you hear so much about him until you meet him, you don't really understand who he is. And he specifically told me, he's like, "Look, in the Texas OU game, I seen you stood up Trent Williams, and that's why your ass is here. I need you to go
Wow.
on just like Bliss did. And I was like, how do you even remember that game?
That's a common thread of Mr. Davis knowing individual plays, not only games, but plays in the history of your career. That's great. And for you, Jerry, I want to compliment you. We talked about this. You're one of 11 three-time All-Americans in the history of college football, going back 150 years. Think of that. So I got that number right. Who is the 11th member of that esteemed list?
The Raiders' first round draft pick, Brock.
Bowers.
Yeah, Brock.
Brock Bowers is the most recent three-time All-American.
Yeah, so, you know, and it was, I'm number 8, Kenny King was number 9, and Hugh Green was 10. You could either change them because they both came out at the same time. And Brock, you know, I mean, because honestly, guys were able to get out of school. They didn't have to go 4 years to be drafted. I understand there could have been more, but it is what it is, you know, and it is, yes. Does it Kenny King?
Yeah. I was
You know
like,
why?
love
Because he's
him.
always on the way. He's always fucking with Kenny. He keeps talking about the Super Bowl 15. You know what, Kenny? You're in my dreams, Kenny. Kenny Easley. I'm Kenny. Thanks, honey. Thank you. You ain't getting that credit, mom. I love you, bro, but I can't do that. But anyway, yeah.
That's an amazing accomplishment. All right, guys, let's get a little loose here from all of you. I need a training camp story. I need a training camp story. So I'm let it simmer for a second. You look like you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
So your go as these young men are thinking about it. Let's get a training camp story.
Okay, when I came to the Raiders, we had training camp in Oxnard, beautiful Oxnard. You know, we had a hotel. No, but hey, when I was with the Eagles, we had a dormitory with that swamp cooler, air conditioning. You know what I'm talking about? Al was in hotels, right? So we're in training camp. I remember the first week of training camp, Dave Dalby, Double D, from UCLA, and I went to UCLA too. He said, Jerry, lunchtime, he said, tell you what you do. Come by my room and see me. I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. On your way to lunch. On my way to lunch, I'm going there, and I walk into Double D's room. He's got 2 kegs on ice, a pitcher of beer, and he's drinking a beer. This is his lunch. Y'all know what I'm talking about. No, okay, y'all don't yell. But I mean, that JB knows because he was in there too. No. But no, it's just the strangest thing. I mean, I'm like, wow, here we are, you know, these professional ball players, and we're trying to do this and that. And the center of it, you got Jim Otto, then you got Dave Dalby. The center sitting here, in between his lunch is a couple of pitchers of beer. So that was a hell of an experience.
That's what I'm talking about. Grant, what about that for you? Training camp, give us a good story back in the day.
I mean, training camp, when I played, we had it in Napa Valley. I don't know if y'all remember the training camps in Napa, right? Hot. It was hot. And the weather, just having the training camp. I think for me, just coming in, it's really just the players. Like players that were coming in, you know, Tim Brown, which is, you know, I graduated University of Notre Dame. He was another Notre Dame graduate. Seeing him, Jerry Rice walk into the training camp, you know, then we had Warren Sapp coming in. It was just like, for me, I was in awe. Like, yeah, I had to come and you know, win a job, but just seeing the players and the caliber of players coming in, and then Charles Woodson, you know, seeing him, you know, just for me, it was just, you know, these are all players that I've grown to respect and follow and admire, and now all of a sudden they're my teammates, and it was one of the surreal moments of just being able to have that experience and just go through training camp day in, day out, and it was just a great time.
Lamarr, you came from a big program. What was it like from a top elite college program as soon as you landed in the NFL at training camp?
First of all, I realized our locker room was really shitty. Now, Texas had great facilities, and then coming into Oakland, I was like, wow, this is elite. You know, my favorite training camp story is we had a D tackle who didn't get to practice, was overweight, and they made him do cardio all practice. They had the trainer giving him couscous, like, you've seen this dude's plate. And he was like, how's this dude not losing weight? Bruh, this dude was sneaking cheeseburgers in the free time. Dude was going at night. They caught him. The staff caught him going at night. Carl's Jr. Bags of cheeseburgers. Coming back, you're like, bro, why is your weight not dropping?
That's so good. Lincoln, you played with a lot of great players and a leader of the team. Tell us about training camp and how it got you ready.
Well, first of all, let me preface this by saying, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, Warren Sapp is not a Raider. Okay, but that's to protect the names and the anonymity, so I'm going to keep it kosher for you. There was a year when I was a captain, and we were under Gruden, and what I had told all our guys coming into training camp, I said, as the enforcer of the team, all I'm going to do is have your groups describe what type of haircut you should get or you sing. That was your choice. You get a haircut from your group, meaning the DBs assign their defensive back the haircut, so on and so forth. And you get or you sing in front of the group, or whenever we say you need to sing. That was a big thing. That was the way we hazed our guys. So I had a tight end who didn't want to sing. So as training camp went on, you're like, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna tell you, look, you ain't took my hair, I ain't singing. I said, you know what? I'm as cool and collected as they come. I've got Mo Collins and Frank Middleton. I said, I don't have to be an enforcer. I've got 2 pit bulls that'll come after you guys, right? And they were just frothing out the mouth. Oh, Link, let me get it. I'll get that. No, we're not gonna do anything. We're teammates. We're gonna make this last. So it came up a time we were in Napa, and we knew that we were gonna have half a day. The rest of the day was gonna be free. So I went to him one more time. I said, okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you gonna sing or are you gonna get a haircut? Man, ain't nobody touching my hair. I ain't singing it. Okay. Walked off. I gave the sign to my boys. We broke practice. Everybody's scrambling to the cars to get out of Napa, right? My man runs over to his Land Cruiser and wonders why it's sitting on cinder blocks. I had my guys take off your tires to your Land Cruiser and throw them in the bottom of the pool. The next time I tell you to sing or haircut, you're going to know what the difference is, right? That was a classic one.
Wow. The leader. All right, guys, one of the things I think the fans wish they could see at some point, which is really hard to access, is what the locker room is like. And Lamarr, I want to start with you on your pregame ritual. After warm-ups, you're out there warming up. The fans see you all go back into the locker room. What is that period like for you individually to get you ready in those few minutes left to play a game?
Well, I think that's the last little bit of calm to get. So, like, I try to go back and save all my energy. So I know I'm going to be fighting somebody like D-Pen or Big Lincoln. So I go chill, sit in my locker, listen to different genres of music, maybe a joke or two, but then after that, I kind of start just getting into serious mode where it's like, hey, it's time to kick somebody's ass, and I ain't gonna get my ass kicked in front of my family and all the Raider fans, and I'm gonna kick some ass in front of everybody. So that was just kind of my approach to the game.
There you go. Grant, pregame ritual for you as you're getting ready.
I mean, for me, I kind of like before the game, you go on the field, interact a little bit with your teammates, players that you know from the other team, go through the routine, kind of similar to Lamarr, kind of really go through the game plan, things at the last minute, mental, what are the advantages and ways that you can really defeat your opponent, but that last really couple minutes is really just you visualizing your success, visualizing, hey, what the outcome. I think really, man, just really going into the game already knowing I'm gonna dominate my opponent. I'm gonna go in there, almost have that Raider mentality. It's like, we already won this game. We've done the preparation during the week. Now it's time to just execute and go with the flow and have fun.
Jerry, you're laughing a bit. This is your Raider years, not your Eagle years. You're on the Raider cruise. They don't have an Eagles cruise, so Raider story.
I'm smiling because you're bringing me back to those days in the Los Angeles Coliseum when I get to the stadium. Greg Townsend and myself, we were roommates, get to the stadium, and I'd get the program, the program that what's it called? Pro Magazine? I don't know. Anyway,
Game Day program.
Game Day. That's it. Game Day. I've been concussed. Hell, I can't remember everything. So anyway, I get to game day and I just go to the bathroom. I go in the bathroom, sit in the bathroom. I wouldn't use the bathroom. I'd be in the stall and I would always read the game day back. I wouldn't even read. I'd just go backwards. I'd go from the back and forward. That's what I did. And then when I got done, I would go back the other way. Then I go back to my locker with Greg and I'd have a couple cigarettes, you know, sit there smoking and close. You could do it back then. Have a couple of cigarettes to calm you down and stuff like that. And then every time you get dressed, it'd always be left sock, right sock. Everything was left. Everything, I had to make sure that everything started with my left. Even to this day, even like this morning, you know, to put my drawers on. Left leg first, right leg next. And just one.
TMI, Jerry, TMI.
I did the same thing too, but
But
mine
you know,
was
that's
right
what it was. It was one
first.
I believed in doing that all the time, but and I just gotta say this. The difference between the Philadelphia Eagles is night and day, you know, because when I came to the Raiders, I mean, that locker room was full of cigarette smoke. I mean, no, really, it's like, you know, you go from church to Vegas.
I've never heard it that way. Church to Vegas. I like that. I'm going to use that. Lincoln, you were one of the greatest I've ever seen of really amping it up slowly until you got out on the field. Tell everyone
We
what you
go
did.
back so far, JT, since the beginning. You know, we know each other through and through. No, you know, I had several routines. The first one, getting up in the morning, heading over, either coming from the hotel or coming from home to the stadium. You know, I had to be dressed to impress. It's a business job, business reality. So I'm suited up, suited and zooted. That's first and foremost. And then while I'm in the locker room, I was really quiet and kind of kept to myself because I was big on body language. I wanted to watch the guys walking in the locker room, see if they were really there to really focus on the job at hand that we need to do to win today. Or were they just going through the motions? So I was big on that. But then as we progressed through the day, I would have all this nervous energy going where I just could not wait for the game. I'm looking up at the clock constantly. Let's kick this damn thing off. Monday night games were the worst. You had to wait all day. And it was killing me to sit there and have nothing to do but try to make sure I'm staying out of trouble or I'm staying focused for the job at hand for a Monday night game. So as the day progresses, I had this little routine that I would start during game day, and I would eat peanut M&Ms. I would eat peanut M&Ms one at a time. I would break them down, separate the shell from the chocolate to the nut. It would just give me something to do, right? Over the years, my bag of peanut M&Ms had to get bigger because the other guys were starting to raid my shit. And they knew how Pop-Pop, that was my nickname, Pop-Pop was. Don't leave my damn candy alone. Get your own. You all make money. There's no reason. But they would just come in and go through my shit. So I had to keep a little bag of peanut M&Ms on the side, hidden, in case it was all gone. But that would get me up until game time. After we went out and worked out, and JT could attest to this, it was time to go. I had this little routine where I would walk back 10 yards from the 10 to the 20 on the sideline, just pace back and forth. Look up in the stands, look up the side, look at the clock, whatever it was, pace back and forth. Now my mind is getting right. I know what I have to do today. I know what we have to do. That's the position, that's the zone I'm in. I'm ready to go. So when we go out there for the point toss or what have you from that point on, I know it's game time. You got me all the way.
Awesome. I think the fans would like to hear about this current team now because I'm going to give everyone in this room credit when the Raiders turn it around this year, and I'm going to go back to this cruise as the beginning of the Pete Carroll turnaround. I just love the vibe of this trip. I love the energy of this trip, and everyone I've had an opportunity to talk to about this team and this upcoming season because we had a real disappointing year last year. 10 losses in a row at one point. It just didn't feel like the Raiders of old, and hopefully Pete Carroll's going to turn that around. And Lamarr, I'll start with you and Max Crosby. Played the same position you play, and you know how much I think you played at such a high level. When you see Max play and you're around him at these events, tell us a little bit about Max and his style of play.
You know, I think I love his game because he has such a high motor, and he's very skilled. You know, he's deceptive because he's got speed. He also has power, and he knows how to mix up those two techniques depending on who he's playing against. And I think he's proven that he's an elite rusher in the league, but definitely top 5 rusher.
Grant, when you look at this team, you know, Pete Carroll comes in with a defensive mindset, and we kept Patrick Graham. on top of it and re-signed Malcolm Kuntz on a deal. Christian Wilkins as defensive tackle, re-signed Adam Butler, which was a big deal. What do you think about the team being led by the defensive line on the way back to the secondary?
I love it. I mean, we all say, defense wins championships, right? And you have, Max coming back, like you mentioned, Kuntz coming back. We didn't have him. Wilkins. I mean, I think we have a great, solid foundation on the defensive side. And I think they're going to play good complementary football, that defense and offense. Then now you have Pete Carroll, on the quarterback with Gino. They have some camaraderie, familiarity amongst themselves. So, I just think the defense, they're going to lead it like they have, in the previous years. But I think overall, this is a great opportunity for all of us, as we, cheer on the team, get some good key pieces in the draft. Hopefully, we can get some good young players that can have some productivity, like Bowers. We can get some players that can produce early on. Sky's the limit.
Jerry, we lose Robert Spillane. He ends up going on to New England. They gave him a lot of money. Real quick money. That decision was made in the first 40 seconds of free agency, and he took the money, and we wish him well. He was one hell of a player, but you're in that situation when a new linebacker comes to a team. How did the Raiders find a couple of linebackers now that could play like you, going sideline to sideline and making plays? Because we just had one and we lost him to free agency.
Yes, Spillane, that situation was, I'm sorry to see him go, because he was everywhere, and once again, it all boils down to it's the draft. The draft is so important. It really is. That's the key to the whole thing. The order that you fall in and the deals that you make and the trades or whatever it may be. And so I hope we're able to pick up somebody in a trade or in the draft. But, the draft part of it is just, people don't understand. That's so freaking important. I'm just going to say this. Take Reggie Kinlaw, 12th round, 2-time Super Bowl champ. And then you got your Tom Brady. You got people that you got to pick the right people in the draft. And I love Pete Carroll because Pete and I would go way back. I'm happy Pete's there. I'm glad Chip Kelly's there, and Graham is still there. And I just think that the guys that are still there right now, they have that attitude. They have that attitude that they needed when AP was there. Okay, that attitude is already there. Now we got Pete here. Pete's a defensive-minded coach, Super Bowl champ. I'm expecting a lot of great things from the Raiders. But I know we don't have much time, but Grant already touched on it. You guys really, a lot of times you guys come up to us and you say, wow, thank you guys for being here. We all thank y'all for being here, because there's nothing better than walking down that tunnel, that dark-ass tunnel, and all of a sudden start to light up, and then we hear you guys, and then we get to see you guys, and to see everybody here, supporting everybody here. I am totally impressed. We all are impressed with the amount of fans that we have on this cruise ship. And really, we just want to thank you guys for being who you are.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. All right, Lincoln, here we go. Take us to school. So we got an offense that struggled mightily last year. We went through a couple of quarterbacks. Gino's the quarterback. Need a running game. What do we need to do up front on that offensive line? What needs to change quickly?
First of all, I just realized you have me up there with all these damn defensive players. What the hell? I couldn't get my boy DP or Jacoby Ford up here. Kenny, give me some offensive guys. Why am I sitting around all these defensive guys?
I think they wanted to
You
test
got the
you.
defensive line and linebackers. You know they rub my skin wrong. You know that. Yeah. Anyways, look, you guys know me. You heard how my analyst goes. The thing is that the issues for our team, our squad, our beloved squad, has been lack of consistency. When you across the board, from top to bottom. I've told this many times, so people know how I am, and I'm not swaying from it. We don't keep our draft choices. We don't keep our coaches. We don't keep any consistency. And when you talk about generational gaps, that's when the Raiders are in a flux trying to figure themselves out. We all want them to be successful. But when you talk about sort of a gap that is, just look at the players that you correspond with that generation. You got players from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s.
Then there's a big gap. We're the 2000 teens. We're the 2020s. This cruise needs to grow in a place to where you, the nation, are getting close to those newer players who are Raiders. Because with that relationship, you will help instill the pride of what it means to wear these colors. And I know this first and foremost. I knew the nation, when I recognized how important the nation was to a game day for me, y'all became like second and third family. See what I'm saying? Violator, Gorilla, all the diehards. I met all of them. Made it a point to be in their life because they were in my life. But even if you didn't have a hardcore name, even if you were just a regular Raider fan, I had love for you. And that affiliation allowed me to play on the level that I wanted to play because I didn't want to let you down. Just like I never wanted to let my teammates down. That was the level of play that I played at. I wanted to be accountable for my level of play out there in the football field. Never wanted to let my teammates down. I never wanted to let you down in watching it. So when I played like crap and the Boo Birds came out, yep, played like shit. Yep, boo, boo. No one's above the boo. But with that being said, in order for the Raiders to get back to winning ways, they've got to promote consistency. You've got to lay down the law and just take your punches, take your lumps, and rise from there. I'm hoping that Pete Carroll does a good job. I'm hoping that he's turning it around, and I definitely want to see this team turned around. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And we'll have to see the way the dust settles from the offensive line changes they made so far. We'll see where the draft goes. But the great thing about the draft, and JT and I cover it constantly with the Raiders, is that it's every fan base's sort of dream come true when the draft comes around, because now every fan base thinks they're going to get the players to get them over the top. It's not necessarily practical or realistic, but it's a step in the right direction. That's why the draft is important. But it's also why, like Jerry was saying, draft smart. And I'm adding a caveat to where you draft smart, you're able to keep those good players that you work so hard to draft rather than letting them go.
Nicely said. Thank you, Kennedy. All right, guys. One more question. I'm going to start with you, Grant. What is the greatest memory you have in a game? Personally, surrounding your teammates, where you just had a day and you just felt like you played the game, you prepped to play, and you pulled it off?
Man, I would actually go back. That's a good question, JT. It's probably one of those games we played Kansas City Chiefs, right? I know. And I think what made it so memorable for me, the week before, actually the week leading up to the game, I remember working out. It was probably on a Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm all pumped up, sweating, and I was looking. Right when I looked up, I see Al right in front of me. And he's by himself, just him and I. He's like, "Hey, what do you think? You think we'll be able to stop Gonzalez? What are your thoughts?" And I'm over my mind. It's like I was just like surprised that he even asked me, his opinion. And I was like, "Hey, you think you can get a jam on Gonzalez? Work in hand with Woodson, with Charles Woodson?" I said, "Yes, sir, absolutely. I think I'll knock him, hit him first. Then I'll go into the rush or go into whatever the play that was called." But it was one of those things that, just seeing Al, his mentality, he was constantly always trying to get an edge. He was always constantly trying to, work on preparation. And when that game came about, we beat him. One of the days, Charles and myself, we were out there on the field communicating. He was like, make sure you get a jam on, make sure you get a hit on him. And it was just one of those things that game solidified. We really worked, as a team. All players, offense, defense, and special teams, all three phases, we were locked in. And it was one of those things, the Raider Nation showed up, and everybody was pumped. And so I think that Kansas City, anytime we got a chance to play Kansas City, it's always going to be memorable. And we always went to war. It was a good time.
We haven't had a jam on Kelsey in a decade.
I know.
We need someone to jam Kelsey.
Yes, we do.
With that philosophy you just talked about.
Totally.
Jerry, for you, what's the game? What's the moment it all came together?
It wasn't necessarily how well I played. It was when Al knew he had made a mistake and hired Mike Shanahan. And then I love Coach Shanahan. We have a good relationship.
Bullshit.
But thank you.
Love you, Jenny.
When Shanahan got fired and Art Shell became our head coach, when I think about my career with the Raiders, that day, that year was so important because I played against Art Shell and Kenny King and them in Super Bowl 15 and Reggie them. Then now Art Shell becomes our head coach. Art Shell becomes the first African American coach in the new era. It was history. And that's what Al Davis was all about, was shocking the hell out of people and doing something that most people wouldn't do. And I remember we were playing against the New York Jets. It might have been a Monday night game, Thursday night game, but it was a big game. And this was Art's first game. We were so fired up. That was one of the best practices we've ever had. There was no way in hell we were going to lose that game on national TV because of the significance of the whole thing. And we went out and we won the game, and we had one hell of a good. Matter of fact, we had a great season that year. But it's just how being part of history. Al Davis is all about history. Man. Think about the game, how the game has changed because of Al. You got holy rollers, you got stick and shit, you got a lot of different stuff. The man, you can't move from Oakland to LA. Relax. So he moves from Oakland to LA, he wins the league, the league loses, and then the owner of the San Diego Chargers, Mr. Klein, has a heart attack. And the dude tried to sue Al because he said Al caused his heart attack. But the things that happened with the Raiders. But that day, when history was made, when the first black African American head coach in the National Football League, and I was part of that team, that is something that means the world.
That is a great story. That ties it in. Beautifully done. Lamarr, how about you? What's that one game day moment that you'll always take with you?
Oh man, it's kind of sad, but we found out Al had passed, and we were in Houston, getting ready to play the Texans in 2010. And when I played for the Raiders, unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of great winning seasons, but I had some great teammates, and that was one time that I can specifically remember that the whole team came together and was like, hey, look, no matter what happens, we have to get a win for Al B. And we went out there, and it was a crazy game. It was back and forth. I had my only interception. I'm lucky to get that. Wish I could have scored, but I didn't. And, we came together. Michael Huff caught a pick in the end zone, and we won the game as a team for Al B.
Great moment. All right, Lincoln, last one to you. You got a lot of them. AFC Championship, holding up that trophy.
It's funny that you mentioned that, but let me make a statement before. So when I first came to the league in 1993, drafted by the Falcons, my center was named Jamie Dukes. And Jamie told me right then and there, and I didn't understand what it meant, but I did after my career was over. He said, Lincoln, you'll remember your first game, you'll remember your last game. Everything in between is kind of a blur. Absolutely right. As many games I played in, I can't tell you what happened in 1999 versus 2002, whatever. But I will say this. JT brought up a great point, the AFC Championship game. I look back on that game now, it was absolutely the most physical game I had ever played in my entire life. I went up against All-Pro Kevin Carter, Javon Curse, so I had speed and power I had to deal with all day. And it was a hard-fought game. Tennessee gave us all they could handle. We had a couple plays that made us, put us over the top and able to win that game. But I remember specifically, JT, the hardest thing about that, first of all, I love doing it in Oakland because we did it around our fans. Secondly, my shoulder was so burned out and so tired that when I tried to hold up that Lamarr Hunt trophy, that son of a bitch is heavy. So you got a picture, there's a picture of me holding up the trophy and you see my tongue sticking out the side. I'm like, oh my God, this motherfucker. I'm trying to showcase it. So Callahan tells me, take it around the field, just take it around the field. I'm walking around the field, I'm carrying it in one hand, I'm giving the pounds and the high fives, and I'm taking pictures. And they're like, Lincoln, hold the trophy up for those in the back. I can't. I love you. So we walk up the stairs back in the tunnel. I was like, somebody get this damn trophy out of my hand, this shit is heavy. But it was a great moment,
It was a great moment. Hey, everybody, we got a few moments for some questions. You raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. A couple questions for this panel, please. And we don't get shut out. There we go. Fabian on this side. We'll get a microphone over to you in a moment.
So Lamarr, on that last play, did you realize that there were only 10 players on the field?
No, no one realized it. It was a rush situation. We were in the red zone and we were going back and forth. We just needed one stop to win the game, so everybody was just zoned out trying to get off the ball and get to the quarterback as fast as possible.
Because the announcers made it, they made a statement that Al was actually the 11th person on the field.
Yeah, they did. They said he was there in spirit. Our 11th player, yeah.
Yeah, that was a tremendous television moment too, to see you guys how emotional you were
that
coming
team
off the field.
And that Texan team was actually good. You know, they had Aaron Foster.
Yeah.
You know, they were rolling. I think they went to the playoffs that year. So it was just incredible that we were able to pull it off, and just the spirit of the team was just uplifted so much.
Absolutely, go ahead.
My question is, and some of the other guys might be able to speak, what was it like to be the Kings of Monday Night Football? You guys had the greatest streak ever. I was growing up watching out in the South Bay, and that was Monday night. It was a race.
You know what? Okay, since I'm the oldest one up here, that Monday night thing, I remember when I was playing for the Eagles, I couldn't wait to get to the Raiders, man. I just really couldn't, but because they had a lot of things, you know, they had Al, they had that mystique, people feared him. And what was the question? That's for you, killer. Monday night was a special thing, man. For us, it was time to get your hair cut, you know, get the lines put in there, and make sure you had the right dress on, the right clothing on. And it was just, we knew we were going to win on Monday night. There was just nothing about it, no doubt about it. Whatever it takes, like Al said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I'm telling you, man, that Monday night thing, it's just, you know, it's great now that I'm a lot older and we're retired and everything. And it feels good to be part of an organization that just dominated Monday Night Football, that dominated professional sports all around. Hello, Knapp. Good morning, Lieutenant. Is Lieutenant Knapp in here somewhere? There he is. Hello, sir. How you doing? Okay.
All right, we got time for one more. One more question for this panel, please.
Did you really wear a dress?
I knew Kelly could resist that. I knew he couldn't resist that.
Good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to expound on something you guys were saying about consistency with the team. I think every Raider Nation member realizes that, and I listen to 2 podcasts. I listen to yours, JT, and a guy named Matthew Shacker, The Filter, and he's very knowledgeable about everything Raiders, where he talks about everything. But getting back to the point, the consistency is correct, and everybody knows that. But do the right people in the organization, does the right people in the organization realize that we need more consistency at this point? And are they willing to keep the players that we get and develop the players that we have to make them better in the future?
Lincoln, that's set up for you with Tom Brady, Spy Tech.
Well, let me, here's the thing. We all understand because we're all rational adults. You typically don't take a job because you want to get fired or you want to do a poor job doing it, right? So whether you're a general manager, whether you're a head coach, everybody wants to do well. And depending on the relationship, all those powers that be in the hierarchy of the system, depending on the relationship they have, usually generates how well they're going to work together. But you never know. I am a practical and a realistic analyst. I'll tell you that what I see, I know. And I can tell you, and I can grade off of what I see. But I've always said you never know how good you are until you play against someone. So other than that, everyone's on paper. Or you can have all the names in the world. One of the things I noticed about when I was a Raider, all the names out there. I had Andre Bruce. I had all those guys out there. And I used to think to myself, damn, why are we better than what we are? You were supposed to be the shit. You were supposed to be the shit. You know what I mean? You came out, why aren't we winning? But it takes a lot more. The greatest game in the world, team game in the world, is football. Because you have to have 11 guys out there functioning as one. That's the hardest thing to do. During the heyday, my time with the Raiders, I had a couple offensive linemen that couldn't stand their quarterback. But I had to keep them in place. If he's not successful, we're not successful. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. You see what I'm saying? Those types of things. So to answer your question, everybody wants to create that pattern of consistency and pattern of good play. What happens now in the current situation is that we have a team in our division that's been winning championships. So we're down at the cellar looking up at them. We want to be as good as they are. What does that cause? That causes you to push the panic button upstairs. Like, oh, we gotta get better, we gotta get better, we gotta get better. I gotta change coach, I gotta change players, I gotta do it. So we're back to the same sort of cycle over and over again. Until we establish a pattern of consistency, whether it's our scouting and our drafting and the players that play on the field, until we had a consistency as far as offensive philosophy and defensive philosophy, we will never know our true identity. If you have to go back to the beginning every single year, you're starting over. You're trying to catch up. So to answer your question, everybody wants to be successful. We as former players want this club to be successful. We know you, as a nation, spend all your hard-earned money to go out there and watch. You want them to be successful. Everybody that's wearing silver and black want to win. How do we get there? There's a pattern that it takes. You have to be patient. And a lot of times, that patience is one of the hardest things to get over or to make do, to keep you going. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our panel right here. It's over, Philip. You don't want to talk. Don't talk.
Love you.
Guys, if you can stand up so everyone can get a photo of you together. We're going to take a short break, about a 3 to 5 minute break for our next panel. So if everybody can please stay here, and if you're in the back and you want to come down, please come down. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, your problem. You're no problem.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to.